Well, content creation is much harder than people believe. And for me, when I'm talking about content creation, is the process of making that a priority in your daily routine. Because for the amount of growth that we have seen in our pages, like, right now we're at 1.5 million on TikTok, we're at 85K on Instagram, and that's less than a year.
Konstantinos Synodinos. It is good to have you here on Economics. How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm great. Although my most favorite period of the year is summer, and it's over. Mm-hmm. But still, September in Greece is almost like summer. So I have still summerish habits going on. Going to the sea, seeing friends. Being a bit more relaxed, not working like crazy like I do in the winter. So yeah, everything is great.
Yeah, and here in Canada, I'm in Toronto, Canada. We learn about deferred gratification the hard way because it's cold 3/4 of the year, and then we get like 1 week in July that's perfect summer weather, not too humid, not too breezy. It's just exquisite, and everybody rushes to the beach. So this one in particular, it just rained a bunch. So we had like one good camping trip, and I'm coasting off that for the next 6 months. So, oh man, I talk to people all over the world, right? I talk to people in like San Diego and in California, and they get summer all year round. And it gets nighttime. It gets like 19 degrees, and like, oh, it's so cold. So it's all funny. Weather. It's supposed to be just this. This easy talking point where, anybody can have a conversation about it, but it actually reflects a lot about people's psychology and mindset, being forced to contend with something beyond our control. Mm-hmm. And it's cold all year round. What does that do to a person's psychology? So there's actually a lot more to weather than that, but this is not a weather podcast. I was tempted to just go off into the weather talk. I was tempted. But opening question for you, my good man, is tell us, what are you up to these days? What do you do these days?
Well, I do many things. I'm always active. I'm always, trying to evolve. That's my biggest, the biggest flame that, burns inside me, always trying to evolve, trying new things, become better in the things that I want to become, see new things, expand my purpose, stuff like that. So Simply Digital is one of the things that I am doing. This is what, got us more eyeballs on us because, of our TikTok growth and Instagram growth. But it's not the only thing that I'm doing. So I have another company. It's called TIMECODES. It's a platform for athletes. So we're trying to help athletes because I was an athlete myself. So I'm trying to bring a platform for athletes that help them evolve their career, chase their sports dreams, find relevant people, stuff like that. And in parallel, we have Simply Digital, which started as a marketing agency, but now it's becoming more like a movement of enabling people to make money online, or to start a business, or to evolve a business, or to change a career to a much more meaningful career for them, stuff like that, which is going quite well. And we're releasing now in the beginning of October the Simply Digital Academy, which will be a video course academy for people that want to learn about TikTok, Instagram growth, content creation, digital marketing basics, because we are all about simplifying stuff that people want to learn. And guess what? People love simple stuff, especially online. So we're giving that to them.
Yeah, and I think social media in particular, it does seem like one of the the simpler paths that somebody can take. Right, all they got to do is talk about something that they like, record videos of it, and be consistent with it. So actually, I'm going to ask you, I guess, more of the flip side to that is, what have you found from your experience has actually been some of the more tricky or some of the more difficult aspects of, being able to grow and expand on Instagram and TikTok?
Well, content creation is much harder than people believe, right? So, and for me, when I'm talking about content creation, is the process of making that a priority in your daily routine. Because for the amount of growth that we have seen in our pages, like, right now we're at 1.5 million on TikTok, we're at 85K on Instagram, and that's less than a year. In order to get this kind of growth, you need to treat social media like a priority, like a full-time job for you. So coming up daily with content ideas that really excite people is not easy. Craft them in a way that are really effective is not easy. And also this has a toll also on your mental health or your mood. It's not an easy thing. So that's what I always say to people, that, content creation is a serious game. It's very beneficial if you do it right, but it's not easy. It's not just, I just drop a post and that's it, right? Or I steal a post from somebody else, or I copy a graphic and that's it. It's more than that. It's building a community. And building a community means many hours on your smartphone. So you need to have the expectations set right, because if you don't, you will end up either quitting or losing important stuff from your life, like your friends, your time, your relationship, or whatever.
Right. There's two things that stick out to me. One of them is the mentality of making it a full-time commitment. Some of that it gets into even the practicality of how much time are we actually talking about community building, the actual creation of it, I suppose editing, doing drafts. So it can be mystifying to think, well, how can this possibly take 40 to 60 hours out of my week? There's certainly that element of it. But what stuck out to me the most out of everything and reminded me of some of my own career path is, I think that there is an inability or this forgetfulness or this neglection to remember to get the most value out of your work as you possibly can. And so one example that I draw from my own experience is, when I'm say back when I was an editor, and I get to listen to a lot of great guests, what I could do, and I didn't do it very often, but what I could have done was, reach out to the guest afterwards and say, hey, I'm the editor for this podcast. I really liked what you were talking about. And who knows where that's going to go? Maybe next thing I know, I have a phone call or I have a coffee with them. Next thing I know, they're actually saying, hey, I'm actually thinking about doing a podcast myself. Next thing I know, I've got this whole other thing. So let me bring this back to you. So what have you found has been some of the most meaningful things that you can do to make sure you're getting the most value out of it? Because you're not necessarily making money right away, but you want to know that you're getting as much as you can out of it when you're creating this content.
Yeah. So you mean how you maximize the value you give to your audience?
Maximize the value you give to the customer, but also maximize the value that you get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the best way to win on social media is by expecting nothing out of it. That's for me the greatest lesson from this year, because that's how I started TikTok. I was not expecting anything. I just wanted to genuinely go to the platform and share my own experience and showcase my own skills and showcase my own secrets or hacks and the stuff that I've spent the last 20 years learning in marketing and digital marketing. And it might appear like an overnight success to people, like, the Konstantinos hit 1.5 million in 8 months, but it's not the case. It's, my content creation career goes back many years, right? I have tried YouTube. I've been a blogger. I've been a marketeer many years for big companies. I had director roles in the corporate world and in big companies in Europe. So this comes from my experience, and then I evolved as a content creator to bring value in my own way in 2021 in the way that people want to consume content, right? So, and for me was like at the beginning when I joined social media and YouTube, I was very cautious about, sharing stuff. I was like, oh my God, they were going to steal my secrets. My competitors are going to steal my knowledge. My potential clients will not come to me because they would know already the solution that I will share with them. And I realized that was a big bunch of crap, because, the equation that Gary Vee is screaming about all those years about, giving value is totally true. So in a magic way, the more value you give, the more value you get. So the more value you give, and selflessly, everything, every single thing, you can really share it with your audience. In a magic way, this builds a community, which is the most valuable thing for me on social media, much more valuable than getting money out of your followers. And you cannot really do that if you just give, whatever you feel comfortable giving. You need to share everything you know. You have to be authentic. And you have to be somebody who is willing to not, fool people in order to gain something, right? Mm-hmm. Be honest, be authentic, share everything you know, be consistent, and you're going to win if you do it consistently. There is no other way.
What you reminded me of is, again, drawing back from my own experience, is, we were talking to these potential clients and I was explaining a lot to them. They hadn't signed up for anything like that. And then my producer, the one who was running the network, says, you told them a little bit too much. You shouldn't be so trusting of strangers like that. And that rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm in agreement with you. You want to give, and you want to be genuine about it. So I'm interested in hearing about your experience if people have pushed back on you against this mentality. If people say, "Oh no, you're oversharing. You're giving too much. You're not getting enough in return."
Well, nobody told me, because I'm the owner of the company. I don't have anybody telling me you're talking too much to people or sharing too much. It's my decision what I'm going to share. So it was me talking to Konstantinos and saying, "Oh man, maybe you're giving too much away," or something like that. And many of my clients were like that. Were like, "Why you're giving that info?" And I was like, "Guess what? You called me because I did. So you didn't call me to tell me thank you that I shared my info with you, and you're running now your ads alone. You realize that I give too much value, and that's why you called me to do the job for you, right?" So people are surprisingly lazy, although all the info we need out there is available. Everything you need to know to be successful, to be a millionaire, to be a great marketeer, to be a chemist, to be whatever you want, a nuclear scientist, is out there for free, right? But people are too lazy to connect the dots. They're too lazy. So I have my content on my page is super simple. I have like websites I wish I knew earlier. There's a series. I have mobile apps I wish I knew earlier. So all you got to do in order to find something is just check my last 10, 15 posts and see what I'm talking about. People are lazy to do that. They're coming to my DM asking to be mouth fed, right? They don't want to do the simple thing. So guess what? They will not even bother to do the things that I showcase in my more sophisticated videos, that I showcase, real solutions that should be paid for. So even if people believe that, they're giving away too much, is a great way to showcase that they know the game, they have authority in that, and that's how they earn the trust from people. They will not lose money by giving away too much.
All right, so here was the question that I've been among the ones I've been excited to ask you. This is the one that I've been the most excited to ask you, because as part of your profile, front and center is no bullshit going on here. And I mean, we've been touching on this in here or there, but this is one of the ones that I really wanted to talk to you about, because as we kind of just talked about before we started recording, it's prevalent, and it's a bit of a generational issue as well. So take it away. I'll start you with this. So what's the common problems that you're encountering? We want to get to those, but I'm also wondering if you also spotted some more rarer instance of it, like some bullshit that doesn't come up nearly as often, but for some reason it's coming up every now and then. So I'm just curious if anything fits that bill. But broad topic. What's getting on your nerves? What are you considering to be bullshit these days?
What really frustrates me, and it's sad to see that from the new generation, is the amount of hating that I see on social media platforms, and especially on TikTok. And I don't know if it has to do because the default setting of TikTok is watching videos that are on the For You page. So it's people that you are not following, right? So you open the app and randomly you start consuming content from unknown people. You get me?
Yeah. I've used,
and I'm guessing
my problem with TikTok is it's addictive. I've uninstalled it and reinstalled it like 10 times in this last month. I don't know if I'm winning or losing the battle, but for what it's worth, it is helpful for me to be on TikTok because it's part of our marketing strategy. Anyways, just so you know, that's some of my familiarity with it.
Yeah. So people are seeing random people and I don't know, they have the feeling that their comments are not being seen, or they are, unknown, or they have they're entitled to say something hateful because they don't know them, or it's random people, on their screen. And the amount of hating comments that I see to a person that, is not dancing, or is not being polarizing, or is not controversial, or is not talking about sensitive topics. All I'm doing on TikTok is showcasing to people how to make money, how to grow their businesses, how to learn digital, what kind of platforms they can use to do something better. And still they hate me. Many people are hating me. Like they're randomly coming and you're a scam, you're an idiot. What kind of accent is that? How you talk like that? You look like shit, or whatever. So, and I'm like, why somebody is doing that? I'm trying to get into the, in the human behavior. I'm struggling to understand. Because when I was a kid, I was not doing that, for example, to random people, or I was not commenting. I didn't have social media back then, but I'm trying to understand what is causing that. And that for me is the most frustrating thing that I see online. I have learned to live, with that. So I'm ignoring totally those comments, those trolls. I know how, why this is happening. But this is probably the thing that I struggled a lot to deal with at the beginning, until I learned to ignore it,
I'm part of the millennial generation. So I for the first 7 years of my life, I didn't have internet access. And I got a brief glimpse as to what life is like without the internet access. And then we had internet access, and I've had it ever since. And it's brought a lot of good. It's given me most of my meaningful employment has been by way of the internet. Most of the contacts, most of my ability to contribute to society is thanks to the internet. So would I have found a way to contribute to society without the internet? Probably. I don't know. I mean, you can always get a job at a grocery store, but there is a lot of good that comes from the internet. And I think there's a number of issues here to unpack, but one of them I think is positivity tends to be the thing that we take for granted, whereas negativity tends to be the thing that sticks out and is very potent on our minds. The good is what we get used to, and it becomes part of our day-to-day life. Like, it is good that I have a warm room, or cool if I so choose. It's good to be on the internet. It's good to have you here on Ecomonic. It is constantly good. We live in good. So when there is not good, and when there's negative, when there's evil, even we go into a very natural response, which is we want to push back on it. We want to deal with it. We want to get away from it as quickly as we can. And we can't, because they're thousands of miles away, hidden behind a barrier. So there's that. I mean, I have more to say on the subject, because, I can share my experience with you and see what we can figure out here. But I'll pause for a second in case you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. We always tend to focus on the things that are the things that stand out, right? Even if if you were in a very, very negative situation with everything negative around, you would probably focus on the one single positive thing that happened. Mm-hmm. So we tend to focus on what stands out. If it's negative, we focus there. If everything is negative and there's something positive happening, we're focusing there. So I believe it's a tendency of people focusing on something that stands out, that grabs their attention, that it's different from what is happening in their norm, in their everyday life. So that's how I explain it myself.
So like I said, I've been on the internet for quite some time, and I've been a piece of garbage, when I was younger. I got it out of my system, but I was that person that, maybe if I was that age now, I might be the person that's saying awful things. And I remember, I was part of this community of content creators, and one guy was constantly getting, rewarded for what was content that was rather cheap and easy to make. People were getting upset. People were lashing out because they were invested in the platform and they were content creators themselves. So there is an element of like feeling they need to come to the defense of something that they're invested in. There's that element. And then really, I think the final part, just to summarize it, is it's a form of addiction. And when I say addiction, usually there are a few things that come to mind. And then there's things that we've become so used to that we forget that they're addictive in themselves. Caffeine, sugar, and being a prick. What I've found is there's not enough of an ability to deploy a countermeasure. You can report somebody, you can block them, but the damage is already done, right? They said something awful, and they're getting their dopamine hit because they enjoyed being a jackass. But they're other than that, there's not much else that you can do other than have pity on them, because most of them don't end up really doing anything significant in the end of the day.
True.
So hopefully that's of some help to you. And so the other thing that I wanted to ask you about as well in regards to this is, a lot of young people are lazy, guilty. From your point of view, where do you think that this laziness is coming from? Is it like we have too many things that make us feel good, or too much access to pleasure has made it difficult to suck it up and do some actual work for a while?
I think we're living in the era of instant gratification in everything. You post a picture, you get instant gratification and validation with likes and comments. You go on Tinder and you get you match with somebody and you might date in 20 minutes. Or, you post something and you get a client in the next day. So we have been trained in the online world of getting things easier than we used to, right? Or download a song. I remember in my first internet days, we were waiting for 3 hours for a song to be downloaded. So imagine how much we were valuing that song, right? Or before that, when I was trying, I remember I was with my stereo, listening to the radio songs that I was having a radio station on, and I was waiting for that moment for that song to come and play in order to put record and start recording the song so I can hear it back. And I was having my songs in a tape with ads in the middle, or the speaker of the radio talking, and I was still valuing that because it was hard gained. Right? Now, this is not anymore the case. So you're downloading songs in seconds, or you're meeting people in seconds. You're swiping up people in seconds. So you're not valuing in the same way anything, the same way that we used to. So that's what I believe makes people lazy, because they don't have to try so hard to get things. And they believe also that the same rule applies to everything else. A good relationship, friendships, an online business, a real business, whatever. They believe that what they have been trained in their life applies to everything, but this is not the case.
Yeah, I remember I only tried using a cassette once or twice, or even VHS. And even the stuff that we owned, it still took time, because you had to rewind the film all the way back to the beginning. Even that took a little bit of time. So, you're talking about acquisition took time. Even the ownership of it itself took time. I remember playing video games as a kid. It took a while to even just get the cartridge to load up, because we had to keep blowing into it, scroll into channel 3. So the tension release is just it's in a very different situation than it is now. So the other side of it, again, this is more of like a gamble question. I hope maybe there's something interesting that we'll get out of it. If not, that's okay. We can always move on. So we talked about some of the common. I'm wondering if there's anything uncommon. Have you seen excuses that people make that don't come up very often but still stick out to you?
I don't think there is any uncommon excuse anymore. I mean, I've heard everything possible, and normally most of the excuses are like 3-4 different categories. The first one is that I don't have the time, right? Or it's too expensive for me. I cannot afford to do it, or to try to start my business, or to run my social media, or to invest in a course, or to invest in my consulting calls, for example, and still they pay 1.5K for an iPhone. So everything is a matter of priorities. So people don't really make a priority what they claim that it's important for them, because it turns up that it's not a priority. If you want to make something a priority, you invest time, you invest money, you make it a top priority in your life and your habits, and that's how it depicts in your routine. Otherwise, you're just making excuses. And for me, the greatest excuse is the way that people are trying to hide the fact that they're not prioritizing something. And they're making excuses about money or time, or they have a family now and they need to feed their babies, or I don't know, whatever. So I don't really remember any kind of, super crazy excuse. But yesterday, for example, on Instagram, I got frustrated so much with the guys. He was like, he had 2 posts. He had 2 posts only. So his page was like, I don't know, 5 days, 7 days old. So he was like, please, sir, can you help me? I'm struggling to get to 30,000 followers and I cannot. Can you help me? I'm like, man, what the fuck? You have 2 posts and you believe that you're entitled to 30,000 followers for what? So, and this is not something uncommon. I get that all the time. People are running social media for a month or 10 days and like, I cannot make it. What I'm doing wrong? You're not making anything wrong. You're doing it for too little. Mm-hmm. People don't have, the basic level of patience to give time to something because of the discussion we had before. They believe that everything is fast, mm-hmm. but it's not.
I mean, one of the big things that I learned this last year is the structure and what you need to understand about what makes your product successful. It doesn't really come until you start. You'll, as meticulous as somebody can be in the plan and to strategize going into it, there are so many wild cards and there's so many things, so many variances that can occur on a day-to-day basis. You're far more likely to have a clear vision of what you're doing once you're actually in the midst of doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So let's go into the application of this. So are you still committing 40 hours a week to content creation, or is it, or you're balancing that with your other priorities? What's your week to week look like these days?
No, I'm not investing 40 hours in content creation for sure. I used to spend a lot of time on Instagram when I started this journey like 14 months ago, because I understood what Instagram is all about after so many years that I was working on Instagram. So I focused on building a community, establishing connections, relationship, DMing people, commenting on posts, nurturing my current audience. So I focused a lot on that. And I might be spending, I don't know, couple of or hours or 3 hours per day just in community engagement. And apart from that, I had also to create my content, my carousels. Back then, I was creating those 10-slide carousels that are really engaging on Instagram. And then when TikTok came into the equation, I was spending like not more than 2 hours per day on content creation, coming up with ideas, posting the whole thing, engaging with the community. So I try to make it, a bit less because I had other stuff to do. I have a marketing agency. I have to work with my clients, with my employees, with my team. I have my other company, Champions ID. Now I'm launching my academy. So I had to make time for everything. And that's why I'm trying to be as efficient as I can in my content creation, because for me, it's super important to still be consistent and deliver every single day a piece of content. And I haven't missed a day of posting for the last 14 months. I posted on my birthday, I posted in New Year's Eve, in Christmas Day. So I didn't lose a day of posting, because for me, it's important to stay consistent and make it a habit.
And when you were building your Instagram presence, was it you on like your personal Konstantinos brand, or were you doing it on behalf of either one of your companies or another company? No, I started the page as simplydigital.gr, which is my domain name, because Simply Digital was not available back then. So I used that handle on Simply Digital. Then I added my personal name, so Konstantinos, because I wanted to give a personal touch and build a personal brand rather than having, a nameless marketing agency page. I thought it was much more engaging and much more impactful for people, and that was a wise decision. And then when I went to TikTok, I found the handle Simply Digital free. I took it, so I kept building on the Simply Digital kind of name, and probably I will stick to that. Although I would be willing to have my name,
because, when you build a personal brand, the wisest thing to do is use your name. But guess what? My name is too difficult. It's too difficult for people, and especially non-Greeks. And I was like, okay, nobody's going to remember that easily. But Konstantinos is something that people know. Most of people that follow me know that I am Konstantinos. So I'm building together Simply Digital and Konstantinos right now.
I mean, one of my best friends from high school was Albanian. His name is Kostyan, but I think it actually translates to Konstantinos as well, or Konstantin as well. So I've had a slightly higher degree of exposure to it. But it's certainly not the norm. So actually, I checked out your Facebook page, and I love just how dense and how condensed a lot of information can be in a very short amount of time. It's like, five websites to check out, or 5 apps to check out. Or here's this game development one. That one stuck out to me because I'm a nerd. What's your discovery process? How is it? Are you drawing from this community that you've been building all this time, and it's coming to you naturally? You're like, oh, okay. I'm seeing a lot of music apps today. I guess I'll do an app video. I'm just wondering how you actually discover what to share with others.
By the way, my Facebook page is my least engaged community, so I'm not even putting time on my Facebook page. I believe that Facebook is dead, to be honest, on an organic level.
Yeah, I should mention, when I looked at that, they looked like they were the TikToks. They were just repurposed onto Facebook.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I'm not creating extra. And that's what I do also on Instagram in 80% of the cases. So I'm using the same videos on TikTok and Instagram. And I'm also posting some Instagram carousels on Instagram. So my community is to focus on or anybody who wants to check me out is TikTok and Instagram. So the way that I created content was, at the beginning, I was just focusing on showcasing stuff that I knew that were quite intriguing. So I was looking for that wow element from people, because I knew that was what will help me grow on TikTok. And because that's what makes people save the content or share it with their friends or watch it again to understand the process of what you did. And that makes a video viral. So I was looking for those kind of platforms, tools that I had saved in my bookmarks. And I was surprised when I initially found them, or things that other creators were presenting. And I thought that, if I put my own angle on that, might be even more interesting. So that's how I started creating some lists with, tools and ideas that I want to explore and create videos about. And I started doing that. And when I saw that the title of the series got viral, like, websites I wish I knew earlier, my first video got like 6 million views or something like that. And I said, okay, maybe I need to do a second part of that video, because I saw that from other creators as well, doing another series. And now we have, 2-3 series that 30, 40 videos each. And we keep doing that because people love it and they're asking for that.
As I commented before I asked you the question, it's a potent amount of information, and you never know. Right? Next thing you know, it expands into someone's mind, and next thing you know, they're committing hours to something that is actually going to be rather significant, rather game changing for them, and bring that gratitude back to you. So to me, I've never been a huge fan of social media, just because of the disparity between the face people put on versus their actual faces. But when it's come to spreading information, it's the most refined and the most dense way to do it. So that's my positive take on that. I have some questions about your business as well. I always like to look around, see what services you offer, and I'm always keen to identify stuff that sticks out, stuff that I haven't asked other people before. You would think that it gets harder as I do this show. That's because it does, but also it also gives me a little bit of a more, I guess, perspective, a little bit more. There's another word for it. I can't come up with it right now, so never mind. So, one of the ones that stick out to me, I can't believe I never asked anybody about this, but one of the content you offer is a press release. It's been a while doing the show. I haven't asked anybody about it. So, for one, what has to happen, I guess, in order to justify a press release? Like, what's caused to actually do one? Is it a product release? Is it, an update for their website? Like, where do you draw the line between, you don't need to do a press release for that versus, oh yeah, maybe you should. And then I'd love to know, what goes into it and what's the process for creating one?
Okay, so two things on that. The first thing is that when I created Simply Digital, we were aiming to create a marketplace of services. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't meant to be a marketing agency. It was meant to be a marketing platform where people would come in and they will get experts in specific services that they tend to look for, hours or months to find, credible professionals. So that was the initial idea. It didn't work out like that in Greece, because when we launched in Greece, people were don't really know what they were looking for. So they want to talk to somebody on the phone and then be guided and offer a service. So before we knew, we were a marketing agency, not a marketplace. So those services were back then, when we tried to make it a marketplace, but then we realized that we can really sell it to clients that come to us and they have a new platform or a new product, and it's worth being shown to the media, because many times, media are really looking for news. They're really looking for new stuff. And all you need to know, or all you need to do is just, give them the story. So if you do it in a nice way, in an intriguing way, because, news is all about telling stories and interesting stories. So if you talk about, Konstantinos, who was an ex-athlete and who got disappointed by the corporate world and created a platform to help athletes make their dreams come true, this is a newsworthy story. So I can help you create this kind of story and sell it to the media, so you can get some PR hits, right? That's the idea. It's not like everybody can get PR coverage for free. Some can get paid coverage, but some people can get it for free because it's newsworthy what they do.
So I just touch on that briefly. So when you're reaching out to media, is it? This is the kind of question. These things, they tend to be case by case basis, but that's all right. You have like a Rolodex, say, of what media outlets you think are worth reaching out to. Is it just reaching out to all of them, seeing what sticks, being selective about who you contact?
You mean when it comes to peer coverage?
Yeah.
For my own reason or for my clients?
I'm thinking for clients, but if there's anything you want to say about for yourself as well, I'm happy to hear that too.
So for me, personally, I don't do paid PR. I've never done paid PR. I have many publications in my name because we won the Entrepreneurship Award in Greece twice with my startup company. We were awarded. We're the only company from Greece that was awarded in the US back in 2016 from the Obama administration. So that got a lot of noise in the media natively without doing anything. And I know some people in the media, so it's not like, it's not US, Greece. We have specific media outlets. So I know who are the people that I can contact in order to get a story about a beauty article or a startup, which is tech related, or a marketing blog, or, you name it. So that's how we separate where we need to send the story.
The other service that I was personally curious about too was the Google search hacks. I don't know it too much about it, but what exactly is the process here? What are you looking for? What are you looking to do for people who are interested in that?
Are you referring to my post like a couple of weeks ago?
I do believe, and what this was, it was either a post or it was a service that was offered. Yeah, it does say here Google search hack service.
There are no real Google hacks or Facebook hacks or whatever. There are things that really work, and that's what makes them hack. All you need to do is, consistently do the work. When you realize what are the things and the points that really make something a hack. So in order to explain what I'm talking about, ranking in Google, it's not, rocket science or something. It's all about understanding what are the things that people are looking for, because what Google is all about Q&A. We come there, we ask, and they give the answers, right? And the competition of everybody is becoming the answer. So if you want to become the answer, you need to understand the question. And realizing what are the questions of your audience is a real hack. That's what you need to train yourself, how you can really investigate and research and understand what are the questions that your audience is doing daily. So when you do that and you know exactly what's happening, you can really create content that answers those questions. That's it. And you do that with research tools, with SEO tools, stuff like that.
I see. So what you're doing is you're looking for a tool that's looking to ask the question. You're trying to find out what the questions are people are asking, so that way you can figure out what the answers are. Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. All right. So this actually, I do get to talk to people pretty much all throughout the world, and I think you're the first person that I've spoken to in Greece. So one thing I'm personally curious about is, advantages and disadvantages working from your location, like penetrating the United States. You said you were, you were recognized by the Obama administration. I'm wondering about the connection there. Is how, there's a lot of businesses going on throughout the world. How was it that what you were doing was recognized by the U.S. president?
When I created the platform Champions ID, which is a LinkedIn of sports in a way, we wanted to register athletes in the platform. That was back in 2015. So it turned out that Europe was really premature in understanding the benefit of such a platform. And US athletes, so high school athletes, college athletes, were much more ready to be introduced in such a platform and to understand the value of the tool. So we reached out to many athletes through social media, through our Instagram page, explaining what we're doing, what is the benefit of joining the platform. We were introducing them through our social media, creating some nice graphics for them, etc. So this created a snowball and a momentum, and we had many athletes joining the platform and sharing that with their friends and so forth and so on. And we turned out having 30,000-40,000 registered athletes from US that started also the movement in Europe as well, because, Europe is always trying to copy US when it comes to sports. So after that, they were like, oh my God, I want to be in that platform as well. So when we won the competition, the entrepreneurial competition here in Greece, we also were signified. There was the Global Entrepreneurship Summit competition back then. We entered the competition and we won. So we were invited in Silicon Valley, and that brought us to to being awarded and being part of the Global Summit back then.
Did you encounter any issues or difficulties in marketing to the sports athletics sides in specific? Because in my mind, I imagine that they're just not on their computers as often. I mean, they have to be out training and so on. Whereas if you want to market to a nerd like me, I'm on my computer my entire life. So the exposure to me seems to be rather just less of it in that side. So what challenges were you running into when you were trying to reach out to the athletics community?
Yeah, so the challenge was not to find them, because they're all day here. Mm-hmm. When they're not training, they're here. Mm-hmm. So that's the easy part. Finding them on Instagram or Facebook, or mostly on Instagram back then, was very easy. The tricky part was to engage with them and make them understand that this is a tool that they need to use daily if they want to make it valuable for them. And, training people into a habit is very difficult. If they don't already have the habit, or they have an instant gratification about using something, like LinkedIn, for example. When I joined LinkedIn as a professional, I had a different kind of background, a different skills versus an athlete. I was like, okay, I created my CV. Now what? Do I get a job? Do I get a contact? Where's my instant gratification here? So I couldn't really realize that, that was a commitment, that I need to create my profile, go back again, network with others, showcase my skills, post an article. And athletes are not like that, right? So we couldn't really train them becoming that kind of thing. So we started pivoting, understanding them, trying to make it easier for them, introduce different kind of things, somebody to guide them through the process or whatever. And we're still trying to increase the level of value we provide to them by understanding them better. So that was the biggest challenge. And that was a big lesson for me as well, because although I was an athlete myself, I didn't really see that. I didn't really see that when I had to see it. And it's a tough lesson because I had invested a lot of money to create a web platform before even testing the concept, even on in a Google Sheet, So that's a great tip for anybody who wants to create any kind of digital product. First of all, with minimum amount of investment, make sure that you have a case, you have a product that solves a real problem that people are willing to pay for.
Touching on the instant gratification issue of athletes, I mean, it's a human thing. So I think regardless of what profession somebody takes, although I would take a guess here that being in athletics, they at least understand the element of you have to work and you have to commit to something, you have to invest in something in order to get the results you're looking for. They have to routinely go to the gym, routinely train, study, recovery time on all of that. So was any of that mindset useful to you in helping explain to them, like, look, this doesn't work out right away, but it's the same thing as like going to the gym?
Yeah, I use that, but doesn't really work like that. So they know the process of working out and getting results after some years. They have been raised to know that. So this is the process. Nobody can really challenge that. But when it comes to something new, they don't really get it so fast. And especially when it comes to technology and social media and stuff like that. So, but it helped me personally. So being an athlete and being disciplined and being able to do my reps daily was something that helped me a lot in my content creation or building stuff or doing again and again and again the same things, which is not easy, but it's necessary if you want to build a digital presence.
Yeah. Well, we've got a bit of time before we hit the hour mark, and I'd like to hear your history with athletics, and how you were transitioning from that into the digital marketing space.
I mean, how I did after Champions ID, I created Simply Digital.
That's probably part of the story, but I'm curious to hear where athletics started for you. At what point was it something that you started off as soon as you were a kid?
Yeah, so I used to be a martial arts athlete. So I started practicing karate back when I was 9 years old, 10 years old. I was seriously bullied in my school years. I was a bit chubby, a bit shy. I was a kid that was not very popular. So that got me into a lot of bullying back then. So my reaction, and because karate was very popular back then with Karate Kid and all those Bruce Lee movies and stuff like that, I was like, okay, I want to find a dojo and start practicing so I can kick some asses. So I started doing that. It turned out that I was really good in that. I was natural. So I was selected in the national team of Greece. I spent 10 years in that. I won a couple of times the world championship. And that boosted my confidence, helped me become disciplined as a person. And that's how I always wanted to do something in terms of to find a way, to bridge my two passions, business and sports. And that's how my platform, came out as an idea. And it was the reason why I quit my corporate life back then after 10 years. That was my initial intention, of making a Champions Idea global platform. And then through the process, I realized that, my expertise and my marketing expertise and the things that I learned through the process of making a platform work can really help many other people as well. And that's how Simply Digital came also in the game. And I'm grateful that I had another child and didn't stick to the first one, because it really helps me also for my first kid as well. So for Champions ID. So it's a great journey. And that's why I always say to people, take that leap of faith, of whatever you want to try online or business wise, because there is a magic way of always, finding the road that is meant to be for you. It might not be the one that you see as a first, your first vision might not be the ultimate one, but trust the process, keep evolving, keep trying things, and you will end up, where you need to be, really.
Yeah, I mean, from the very, very beginning of this conversation, it's just the motivation to expend your energy and put it out into the ether, and it does come back. And we only understand so much about how energy works, but we seem to understand that if we put it out in that positive way and we're helping others, it does come back. I went through some of the same problems that you went through, by the way, in elementary school. I didn't get very far in karate. I only got an orange belt. And I learned, don't tell people you're taking karate, because people are like, oh, hi, you're going to get me with your kabuki stuff. I never actually got into a fight. There was a few times where I wish I did, because I know we're almost done here. I'm just letting this out of my system. One time somebody, he grabs my arm, and I know the technique, which is, you push it off with your open hand and then palm strike. And I keep writing that scenario through my head, like, man, I wish I just palm strike that guy. Did you actually end up getting into any fights?
Yeah, when I was younger, and I was like, it was, I was in my early 20s. I was at a great shape back then. I was competing. I was a world champion. So I had a huge amount of confidence and everything. And I'm a guy who has a Mediterranean temperamento. I'm half Italian, half Greek, so it's not very easy to be calm and very very chilled. So that was when I was driving a motorcycle here in Athens, because it's super dangerous, and you have many people really can really put you on the floor for nothing. So I was really getting furious with people that were driving recklessly and without being cautious. And I was having many fights back then. But then I realized that it's super dangerous, not because of me being hurt or something, because you can turn up being in jail, right? Because you can really push somebody, not just hit, just push somebody. He can fall down on the floor, hit his head, goodbye, hello, jail time for 15 years out of nowhere. So, or some crazy guy can, pull out a gun and shoot you.
Yeah. And nobody ever fights in jail, right? So
Exactly. So after a while, I realized I was stupid, and I try to be much more chilled and calm, and focus on the important things of life and ignore the trolls in the road, like I do now with social.
Yeah.
So it's wiser.
That was the thing that always stopped me. Is like, oh man, this is gonna go on my permanent record. I'm gonna get suspended. I'm gonna get expelled. Then arrested. I'm gonna get taken to court. And there's always that pushback that I guess it keeps more fights from breaking out. But what I appreciate about it is it makes me weigh whether or not this is really the hill I want to die on. Or is it, maybe it's better to pass on this. So anyways, rare chances do I get to get that out of my system.
Exactly. And, you realize that the true power is always being, secure and strong to live and make a fight be dismissed rather than initiate the fight. So that's the true strength. And that's what we teach also in self-defense. I mean, the first lesson that I do when I was teaching self-defense is try to distract somebody even for a second and run. That's it. There's no technique, nothing to be brave or to be the hero that you see on the TV series. Just fucking run. There are no heroes in jail, or in the death yard. So just run and make yourself find a way to leave the fight, to disengage. That's the key.
Yeah, if you want to be a hero, become a doctor. Be the person exactly. that picks up the pieces after the fights are over.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up, but I just wanted to ask one more question just for the fun of it, because whenever I get a chance to talk to people from different parts of the world, I'd like to walk away with a little tidbits of I guess like a verbal souvenir or something like that. But anything interesting about Greece that people don't normally know about your country?
Well, I'm a sea junkie myself, and that's why you see that the color of my brand is turquoise. It's like the color of the sea of Greece that you see in the islands and the card posters and everything. So that's why, although I've lived abroad, I was always coming back to live in Greece because I'm addicted to the sea. I'm looking at the sea right now out of the window. So that's, for me, it's really important to be happy and to wake up with a smile in my face. And doesn't matter if it's Greece or whatever. I just always say to people, just do things that you love, and be in places and with people that make you feel happy. Because at the end of the day, even if you make, I don't know, 50K per month and you hate your office and your boss and everything, doesn't worth it, doesn't worth it. So do things that make you happy. For me, it's the turquoise of the sea. For you might be, I don't know, Vancouver and the Grizzlies, whatever.
No, that goes into the camp of fights I only fantasize about getting into. Yeah. All right. Well, it's been great. Great to meet you. Great to talk to you. Man. Great to share some knowledge, macro knowledge, all that good stuff. It's why I'm honored and privileged to be able to do this podcast here. The final parting question is, if you have any last bits of wisdom, you're free to share it. But we spent the last 5 minutes doing that, so I'll give you the floor once more just in case. But other than that, also let the audience know how they can make contact with you.
Yeah, so you can find me as Simply Digital everywhere. So if you search for me on TikTok or on my website, simplydigital.gr. My Instagram is simplydigital.gr as well. So you can reach out to me in my DM. I answer to everybody, more than my emails. So you can reach out to me for whatever you want. And I would just say to people that, at some point of time, you're going to realize that regrets is the heaviest burden that you can carry as a person. So if you want to start a podcast, do it today, tonight, not today, like right now. If you want to start a social media page to share your experiences or your thoughts or whatever, do it right now. And whatever you want to do online, business-wise, start the community first. Start with that, no matter how quick and dirty it is, or semi-perfect, or whatever you believe that it is, and you will figure it out later. Nobody has figured it out from the get-go. Nobody has planned everything so perfectly that everything evolves from that moment in a perfect row. Nobody. We all pivot every single day. We all love the process, and that's the beauty of it. The journey is the greatest thing. You having podcasts that have, 5 viewers or 6 or 7, it's part of the process. You need to love it. And you might love it more than when you're going to get 1 million, listeners. Mm-hmm. It's sexier. The struggle is sexier than the success sometimes. So enjoy the process, take the first step, and you're going to figure it out.
Well, the only thing that I can add to that was a metaphor that I came up with last episode, which is the water is the coldest before you get in. Right? People are like dipping their toes. Like, it's freaking cold. You get in the water, you get used to it. Yeah, that's how it works in all things. So the limiting factor is never worse than when you're picturing how bad it can be.
Totally accurate. Yeah. Totally accurate.
Excellent. Well, that is everything that we're going to do today. Konstantinos Synodinos, it's been a pleasure meeting you, talking to you, sharing in an hour's worth of wisdom. To my audience, as always, it's an honor and a privilege to collect this information, use it for my own benefit. I was saying that ironically, now I mean it, and to share it with all of you. So to everybody, take care, and we will check in soon.
Starting out, I was all in on Pinterest, and I...
Hey, this is Joseph from Ecomonics. Just wanted to thank you for being here and for giving this content your time and attention. I hope you learned something. I can say with certainty, I have learned something with every episode that I have done, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. There's a couple things you can do to help us out. If you want to check out the audio content, we are available on all major podcast platform distributors. And while you're there, give us a 5-star review. It helps a lot. And while you're here on YouTube, there's a lot of things you can do to help out as well. It's not going to take very long. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button for this episode, and hit the notification bell so when we have new content for you, it's going to be at your doorstep ASAP. Lastly, this podcast is created by Debutify, the best Shopify template available. It is 100% free for you to start, and it can change your life. It can make you so much more free than you are right now. So if this episode wasn't enough to convince you, I think a few more might do the trick. So have at it.